So Donald Trump decided to post an insane video on Truth Social. He posted himself with a crown on his head, flying a fighter jet, dumping literal shit on protesters. Now, I wish I were kidding, but this was posted by him on his Truth Social network. And it has to do with the fact that the No Kings 2 protests happened this weekend. And even though he doesn't want to admit it, they were probably the largest protests in decades. Over 7 million people attended these protests, and these protests were primarily against him. So, of course, Trump, he likes to come off as strong, and to his base, he does seem to be strong, but in reality, he's very thin-skinned. He can't let things roll off, and he always has to get his jab back. And in reality, that is not a sign of strength. That is a sign of thin skin. Now, so he decided to post a video, which to me, if you're on the right, or if you're MAGA, primarily, because I have no problem with Republicans, real Republicans, but if you're MAGA and you love this guy, or you love his movement, is this behavior presidential? Is posting an AI-generated video of the President of the United States wearing a crown, flying a fighter jet, dumping literal feces on protesters, is that presidential behavior? Is that the behavior that we want as the figurehead? Because remember, at the end of the day, the president is not there to legislate. He is the head of the executive branch, and he is the figurehead to the world. So really he has one job, and that is to be the leader and the figurehead of the American people. Not just to the American people, but to the world on a global stage. So is that the behavior that you want from the sitting president of the United States, or even a former president? I think would be inappropriate. Is that the behavior you want the rest of the world to see as the leader of the free world and as the leader of the strongest nation on the planet, economically and militarily? If you ask me, no, that's not. I can name a dozen presidents in recent memory that have been more presidential, and I think every future president looks at previous presidents for precedent, to see how you're supposed to behave. And we've had scandals. We've had Watergate scandals. We had Andrew Jackson, who was a little, we've had our rough patches in U.S. history. With that said, when you look at previous presidents, as an incoming president, you can see them almost role models in regards to how to act. Trump has turned everything on its head. Really, since 2016, he has turned our political environment on its head. And he said he was going to do this. I don't think he accomplished what people really wanted him to do, which is drain the swamp. That saying has kind of just disappeared. He doesn't say it anymore. Because he is the swamp. And his administration, they've become the swamp. It's just a different swamp. He didn't drain the swamp. He replaced it with unqualified individuals. And you can look at across all boards or all branches of government. The leaders that he's put in place are not qualified. They're not the highest qualified people. Like previous presidents put the highest qualified people in these departments. RFK Jr. comes to mind. That's really who we're going to have in charge of health and human services? No, there are a couple things that I'm like, okay, that's fine. Trying to get rid of dyes, right? Food dyes. Fine. Trying to promote a more whole food centered diet. Fine. The problem is the damage that someone like RFK is doing is so much and above beyond the minor things that might be positive. A broken clock is right twice a day. I made a video on RFK Jr. a while back on this channel, and I basically called him an idiot. In fact, I think that's the title of the video is RFK Jr. is an idiot, because he is, at least in that department of health. He's a conspiracy nut. So it seems like he just replaced the swamp with a bunch of people who are self-interested, trying to enrich themselves, and they say the F word here and there, or they say a slur here and there, or they don't care about political correctness, which unfortunately resonates with a huge portion of America. And I get it. I do get it. I think the left went way too political correctness. They went way too Demonizing the white man. Now, as a white man, I don't care. I've never felt demonized, but unfortunately, unfortunately, a large swath of people did. And I'm not saying that they're right in those views, but to win elections, you need that vote. It's hard to win elections without white men, to be honest. And as someone who thinks everyone should have the same rights, equal rights across the board, women, minorities, everyone, LGBTQ, everybody, whether I agree with them or not. And that's really the differentiating thing here is whether you agree with someone's lifestyle or not, whether you are part of a minority group or not. Really what we should be doing is just saying everybody should have the same equal rights and the same protections under the law. So as a white man who wants that for every single person, I've never felt demonized. But I understand that if the left wants to protect minorities, you have to win elections. So I get that perhaps the messaging was off on the left and it has disenfranchised a huge portion of white males and they voted for this guy. It's unfortunate that is what caused us to be in the situation that we're in. It's unfortunate there's such an undertone of underlying racism in this country. Sexism in this country, unfortunately, still exists, and it's unfortunate that we have a president that is basically the polar opposite. It is the white man's revenge in a sense to Barack Obama. It is unfortunate, genuinely. And here's the thing: I think if you are a true American and a true man, I can only speak for men. I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman. If you're a true man, you should vote for a qualified white man, a qualified black man, a qualified any other color man, a qualified black woman, a qualified white woman, a qualified any other color, right? Really, who should hold the office of the president is someone qualified to do the job. And if you cannot look past sex or race or any other qualifier that is not pertinent to the job, then you need to look internally and figure out why. Anyways, this video got way off tangent. The point is he posted an insane AI video on social media. This video is going to live on social media for indefinitely, really, because once it's on the internet, it doesn't come off the internet. And not only that, he owns the platform that it was posted on. So even if you could get it off the internet, he owns the platform that it was posted on. So it's going to live there indefinitely as a stain on the American presidency, which is supposed to represent a qualified, strong, mature, in my opinion, stoic. Zeno of Citrum changed my life, to be honest. And if you feel lost in life, you should definitely look into Stoicism. It is a fantastic, it's not a cure-all, but it is a fantastic way to mold your life to be happy in a state of uncertainty, because that's really what the world is a state of uncertainty. But I think a leader should be stoic, should be logical, should be rational, should make decisions based on logic and data and statistics. Yet we have a president who posts insane videos on the internet because his thin-skinned feelings were hurt. I'll leave you at that. I didn't say this at the beginning, but this is obviously by the name of the channel, this is my Yap About Anything channel, hence the name. It's my unqualified opinion. I talk about whatever I find interesting here and whatever I feel is important to talk about. So if that is interesting to you, please consider subscribing. If you want my qualified opinion, that is on the main channel, and that revolves around economics and finance. My formal education is in finance and like over a decade of experience. So we talk only about finance, economics, Federal Reserve policies, interest rates, all that stuff, retirement investing on the main channel. So definitely check that out. It's just my name. But here we talk about everything under the sun that's important or that I find interesting. So please consider subscribing if you haven't already, whether you agree with me or not. I think civil discourse is an underlying cornerstone of this society. We have to have civil discourse. So even if you don't agree with me, leave your comments below. Feel free to subscribe just so we can, debate. I don't mind that. I like difference of opinion. With that said, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.